Throughout the college process, I've felt as though I've needed to box in my desires to make my plans and my future evidently clear. As a young woman, I've been influenced by the media to prioritize college, to have fun dating around, find a partner who I will eventually marry and start a family with, focus on my healthy body, making sure to keep off that freshman 15 I always hear about, all while glowing in a new city, effervescent as always. And why is this important? Because education is the pinnacle of a woman's desirability. Now, this notion of desirability has led me to one essential question. What should I desire? When thinking about desire, one of my favorite authors to read is Carol Ann Duffy, more specifically her poem Penelope, from her collection, The World's Wife. Carol Ann Duffy's poem is based off the Greek mythological story of Penelope. Penelope is Odysseus' wife, and as I'm sure you know, Odysseus is quite an adventurer. He leaves her alone for multiple years to raise their newborn son Telemachus. While Odysseus is away, Penelope plays the character of the widow remarkably well, and when proposed with marriage by other suitors, because they think that Odysseus is dead, she says she cannot marry them because she has to finish her stitching, which she has grown to love. Now, this is a ploy so that she'll have time for her husband to come home. Penelope works tirelessly on her stitching every day. Being the inventive lady she is, Penelope realized that she needed to undo her stitching every night in order to buy time for her husband to return home. And when her husband came home, she desired him just the same as when he left. That's right, Penelope desired her husband just as much as when he left her multiple years ago to raise an infant on her own. But let's back that up for a minute and look at Carol Ann Duffy's version. Duffy's version of Penelope doesn't desire her husband at all at the end of the poem. All she desires is to be left alone with her stitch work for the rest of her life. And when she hears her husband return, she narrates, "I heard a far too familiar tread outside the door. I licked my scarlet thread and aimed it surely at the middle of the needle's eye once more." Anecdotal stories of women subverting culturally imposed desires are thrilling to read, but how do they fit into our world today? Most women from a young age are prompted to desire success in the eyes of the patriarchy. Thinness, friendliness, curviness, and motherhood, among many others, are pushed down the throats of young girls. Like Penelope, though, women have been able to redirect their desires to align independently with themselves. We dissolve these boxes we are put into with one phrase: our desires are our own. In order to explore this idea further, I talked to some of the Penelopes of my life who represent the Penelopes of modern America and their subsequent desires.
I was told I needed to desire a perfect appearance,
Traditional gender roles,
a certain kind of weight,
being liked,
not taking up very much space, always looking your best,
another woman's beauty,
a certain kind of hair,
and this ideal body type.
kind of like a Farrah Fawcett look.
My dad, whenever we'd eat dinner and I was like super hungry or something, like we're just at home with our family, like sometimes I'd like hunch over or whatever, like have my elbow on the table. Like I was young, like I wasn't perfect or whatever, but he'd be like, nobody's gonna like you on like your dates when you're older.
When there were family parties, like Christmas parties or get-togethers, my mother would take me out and buy me a new dress and sort of determine how I was going to look. She was really like overly concerned about how I looked.
There was a Farrah Fawcett poster, and she was just like sitting there in her red bathing suit, and she had this beautiful hair that flipped back and this big bright Pepsodent smile, and girls my age were supposed to look like that.
We would line up in ballet class and our teacher would come around and she'd tap our chin upwards and she'd tap our butt to go in, and so we were always encouraged to make ourselves, as small as possible.
So one time I was watching a TV show and it was with my older sister, and in the scene, like one of the girls was wearing bikinis or underwear or something like that, and she was really curvy, and I remember like my sister saying, oh, she looks really good. I was like, I don't look like her. You know, like I was like, I don't have that body type. So like, if I don't look like that, do I not look good?
So the Christmas that I was 7, one of my big gifts was a beautiful baby doll. And along with that, my mother had saved a lot of the baby clothes from when my brother and I were babies, and she washed those and packaged them as part of that gift. She was very excited to give that gift to me, and in fact, I still have that doll. She's in my basement.
Through the course of their lives, these women have both defied culturally imposed desires and embraced personal priorities that match their aspirations in life.
I care about being successful and being proud of myself.
Equal rights.
Being muscular and being strong.
Finding a place where I can accept myself as I am.
Doing things that I love and things that I care about.
My singing career.
Not only am I a mom, I did fulfill that dream, but I have been teaching music for 20 years, and I have also continued singing.
Playing field hockey next fall at a collegiate level.
Focusing on what's happening in the world so that I can figure out where do I fit into making a better world.
I want to grow as myself.
Women are constantly and consistently subverting culturally imposed desires to match their true needs. I'm certain Duffy's Penelope would come to the same profound conclusion as these women, which is that their desires have no place being boxed. In the words of American Pakistani visual artist Shazia Sikandar, not to be boxed in, to be able to transcend boundaries, is essential.